As instructional designers, we aim to design e-learning courses that reduce cognitive overload and give a sense of accomplishment to the learner. Half of your battle is decluttering the screen with irrelevant graphics and heavy on-screen text. Now, incorporating infographics in e-learning can take your e-learning courses to the next level. Infographics have been growing in popularity over the years, and they are typically educational, entertaining, and useful tools. An infographic is a visual image, such as a chart or diagram, used to represent information or data. Their purpose is to collect and organize data, creating an easy-to-understand visual. The visuals within an infographic are chosen thoughtfully and systematically to tell a specific story. The goal of an infographic is to guide the learner through the information in a logical sequence, but not to overwhelm them with a ton of facts and figures. Infographics present well-chunked content with relevant graphics to help learners understand the content in less time and retain for a longer duration. Learners scan the infographics and interpret the meaning well, especially the complex data when compared to other visuals. In e-learning, an infographic has a major role to play. It will not only enhance the effectiveness of an e-learning course, but also increase the visual appeal. Based on a rough estimate, one infographic may convey the message of 3 to 5 e-learning pages loaded with text. The two greatest advantages of infographics in e-learning are, number one, it motivates learners with its visual appealing graphical representations, and number two, they significantly reduce the number of e-learning course pages. We can use infographics in almost all content types, such as concepts, storytelling, comparative analysis, and processes and procedures. Infographics typically include the date, which is sometimes cited, text, sources, images, different levels, robust content, themes, and characters. Within the visual story, the characters of the story are the content, data, and statistics. Now I will discuss with you 12 tips to creating the perfect infographics. Number 1, create your infographics for your target learners. Coming up with an infographic idea is half the battle to creating the perfect infographic. And the way to come up with a great infographic idea is to figure out what your learners want. The infographics with the most traction and the most attention are the ones that meet your target learners where they want it the most. One mistake that I've seen people make when creating an infographic is that they try to choose something that is generically popular rather than specifically relevant to their learners. This infographic has target learners, public school teachers. Your goal is to create an infographic for your learners, not necessarily for the whole world. Keep it specific, relevant, and targeted. Number 2, keep it simple. One of the advantages of infographics is that they can distill advanced ideas into a simple visual format. But the inherent advantage of infographics is that they can become needlessly complex, creating a mind-numbing cognitive overload rather than an "oh, I get it" experience. Like everything else in life, infographics are better when they are simple. This infographic would work better as 4 or 5 infographics. Simplicity wins, always. Number 3, keep it focused. Simplicity, discussed in the previous slide, is ultimately about focus. Don't just make your infographic a potpourri of facts and figures. Infographics are not attempts to randomly assemble all the data that you can compile. Instead, an infographic is intended to drive a single focused point. This infographic is focused on a single topic: backup practices of Mac users. I've seen infographics that are short on the graphic and long on the info. The best infographics are ones that have a good balance of visual information with icons and an image elements. It needs some more visual pizzazz. Number 5, make it easy to view. Sometimes an infographic gets lost in its resizing. The designer makes it huge, then the developer has to downsize it. In the process, the readability gets lost. Many infographics have a variety of font sizes. Make sure that the smallest font on your infographic can be seen without too much difficulty. As you can see, the words in the infographic here have become too small to read easily. Infographics should be easy to read and view, whether the user clicks to enlarge or not. Number 6, make it a manageable length and size. Infographics are supposed to be big, we get that. But go too big and you'll start losing people. I recommend a limit length of 8,000 pixels. Anything longer and you'll start to presume upon your learner's attention span. This infographic at 24,575 pixels is probably approaching too long. Along with a length limitation comes a necessary size limitation. The learners might be on a slow connection, so be courteous and keep your infographic to 1.5 megabytes. Number 7, add whitespace. An infographic is an exercise in graphic design best practices. Whitespace is important. There is not enough whitespace in this infographic, which might be the point. Good infographic design includes a balance of visual elements with the necessary negative space to help guide the learners as they look at the infographic. Number 8, create an attractive headline. Your infographics headline is extremely important. It won't get any attention if it doesn't have a great headline. Good headlines will have these features. They describe the infographic. They grab the learner's attention. And they are short enough to understand at a glance. 70 characters is a good length. If you don't have a powerful headline, your infographic simply gets overlooked. That's all there is to it. This infographic, for example, has a wordy title that might not get the level of attention it wants. You need to put in the brainwork on the front end to make sure that you have a really strong title. Number 9, focus on the flow. The greatest strength of an infographic is that it can flow both cognitively and visually. An infographic is like a good story. It has the ability to convey an idea by taking you from one phase to another, sequentially and seamlessly. The dots are all connected and the ideas are integrated. There's power in being able to move a viewer through a thought process, but some infographics falter on this viewpoint. Instead of moving the learner through a thought process, they simply throw a bunch of information into graphical form. When you create an infographic, do so by creating flow. The flow will help the learner pay attention and to be persuaded by the message that you are presenting. Even when this infographic is viewed from far away, it has obvious flow. Each section has a number, a headline, and a different colored background. Its comic book style helps us better read each section. Every one of the visual elements serves to create a more powerful flow. Number 10, check your facts and figures. Many infographics focus on presenting data. It's a smart idea. Our minds can process stats and percentages way better when we see them, rather than just looking at a number with decimal points and percentage signs. But make sure that you're being accurate by focusing on these 3 often overlooked areas. Number 1, make sure that the statistics themselves are true. Number 2, make sure that your sources are reliable. And number 3, make sure that your graphical representation of the data lines up with the number. If your infographic relies heavily on numbers and data, it pays to give this area special attention, double checking and rechecking. Research has found that an infographic is 30 times more likely to be read than a purely textual article. Infographics are one of the best visual tools to hook learners' attention and convey messages effectively. You can make a really good infographic. Just keep these tips in mind and you'll spare yourself a lot of wasted effort. Now, designing the perfect infographic may seem tricky, but it's well worth it in the long run. Incorporating infographics in your online course will motivate the learners with the visually appealing graphical representations, as well as significantly reduce the number of e-learning course pages that you have to create. Applying these tips to building the perfect infographics definitely will make your online course stand out above the rest. I hear it from members in the eLearning and Instructional Design for Beginners community all the time, how valuable they find infographics to be. Now remember, following these suggestions will not only enhance the effectiveness of your online course, but increase its visual appeal. The goal of an infographic is to guide the learner through the information in a logical sequence, but not to overwhelm them with tons of facts and figures. Your design structure must be the focus, and the visuals within your infographics should be chosen thoughtfully and systematically to tell a specific story. So you can choose, are you going to create an attention-grabbing and motivating infographic or a boring and ineffective one? Now, if you have any questions at all about creating infographics for your online course, be sure to post it in the comments. I'd also like to know from you if you have any other suggestions to add about infographics. What are some infographic tips that you wish you knew a long time ago?